Yes, Des, we are crowning a new national champion on Monday, but for 2 more days, it's Michigan. It's that team across your chest that still holds the crown. Hey, the floor is yours real quick to give the Wolverines that shout-out they need.
Yeah, gee, listen, I had to wear my hockey jersey this morning because I got to show some love to Michigan hockey. I know you see that the M and the 21's legit. Yeah, because they beat the #1 team in the country, Michigan State, at home 3-2 in overtime at Yost Arena. So I got to give Michigan hockey a shout out. My twins were there. They say the atmosphere was electric. So just shout out to the hockey team. But now we can talk a little football,
okay,
my
yeah,
man.
Now we'll talk ball, and we're going to take an electric atmosphere there on the ice, and we're going to put it there in Atlanta. And it's going to be Riley Leonard through the air, on the ground. If Notre Dame is going to be able to hang with this Buckeyes team, Des, in your opinion, what's going to be a more important aspect of his game, through the air or on the ground?
Well, gee, I think it's going to be on the ground, but it's going to have to manifest itself through the air. By that I mean Riley Leonard is going to have to use his legs. Now, he's going to have to use his legs in designed runs, quarterback powers, things of that nature, because that's just their MO on offense. But Ohio State's defense is going to load up. They're not going to let Notre Dame run the ball. So he's going to have to use his legs, Riley Leonard, to extend plays so he can throw the ball. Because make no mistake about it, they're not going to line up against this gym-nose defense that's been outstanding in the postseason and just run the ball down their throat. Riley Leonard is going to have to make some throws. And in order to make some throws, to get away from Jack Sawyer and those dudes up front, he's going to have to use his legs to extend passing plays so he can make throws down the field.
We know Ohio State can certainly throw, yet still Jeremiyah Smith, the all-world freshman, was held to just 1 catch, 3 yards in their last win to get to this point. Can the Buckeyes, Des, win with another quiet game from Jeremiyah Smith?
Gary, I really think they can because, I mean, you know, they're far from a one-trick pony. Like, they have a lot of weapons all on their offense, but especially in the perimeter. You know, you have Emeka Egbuka, you have Carnell Tate. Listen, my man Jeremiyah Smith has been sensational. He's going to make those splash plays, one-handed plays, but guys like Egbuka, I spoke to coaches who've had to defend the Buckeyes offense, and they said number 2 is really the glue. He's a senior receiver. He makes all the catches. He's always where he's supposed to be, and he's going to keep the chains moving. And Tate, he averages about 14 yards per catch himself. So they have a lot of weapons out there on the perimeter that they can still win this game, even if Jeremiyah Smith does not have a big game.
You know, Des, for a hockey analyst, you know some ball. Des, appreciate you, man. Enjoy the game Monday night, and congrats to the Wolverine hockey team.
An Ohio State legend and ESPN college football analyst Joey Galloway joining us from Atlanta. Joey, any nerves for your Buckeyes ahead of Monday night?
Obviously, everybody's going to be nervous. Notre Dame's going to be nervous. Ohio State's going to be nervous. This is the championship game. This is what everybody's doing it for. They're on, their 16th game of the season after playing in the semis. So this is an extended season for these guys. And the nerves will obviously be high. I think if you've seen the first couple games, Ohio State has just looked tremendous, starting with Tennessee and the way they look there. And then, to beat Texas the way they did in the end with the fumble recovery that you're showing. And, it has been a dramatic ride for Ohio State since the loss to Michigan. And this is the final one. Everyone's going to be nervous. I'm going to be nervous, and I'm not even playing.
It's a Notre Dame ground game that could muck it up, slow it down, make it a little ugly. It factors to be crucial. Is this rushing attack, both Riley Leonard, right, at quarterback, and Jeremiyah Love, is that enough for the Irish to stay in this game?
Well, I don't know that the running backs and Riley Leonard, I think their biggest concern is the injuries on the offensive line. Now, are they good enough to run the ball? They're good enough to run the ball against anyone in the country. And they got a stable of backs, not just Love, who has the knee injury, but he still played. But Price is also back there, Aeneas Williams also back there. So they're very talented in their backfield, and they are absolutely going to try to run the ball. That's just what they do, and they do it as well as anyone in the country. If their offensive line is healthy, then they absolutely can run the ball. We'll see how that works out. But the guys in the backfield, you've seen in the last game against Penn State, it looked like they were out of it a couple times in that game. And because they just believe in their run game so much, they just stuck with it until they broke the team at the end of the game running the ball. And the Jeremiyah Love touchdown you just showed, where he just ran over 6 people to get into the end zone, just shows you how much confidence, not just the offensive coordinators, not just the team, but those running backs believe that they're good enough to get in the end zone no matter what.
You mentioned just grinding teams out. Their second half offensive numbers are through the roof in this college football playoff. We'll see if the Irish can continue that against Ohio State. Gets going Monday, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Joey Galloway, thank you, sir.
Time to crown our national champion, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Monday night in Atlanta for everything. This is the third time in as many seasons that the Buckeyes and Fighting Irish have played one another in the series history overall. Buckeyes 6-2 against the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame hasn't beat them since 1936. Points, they'll be at a premium. Ohio State has allowed the fewest points per game in FBS this season. Notre Dame, second in that category. Ohio State, they have used quick starts to their advantage, outscoring opponents 42-0 in first quarters of 3 CFP games. They'll try to continue that trend against an Irish team that hasn't allowed a first quarter point since early November. Okay. SportsCenter on the road, presented by Geico, and that is where we find Desmond Howard joining us live from Atlanta. Des, good to see you again this morning. One of the lasting images in that win over Penn State for Notre Dame was Jeremiyah Love's touchdown. How capable is he of taking this game over with a bit of an ailing knee?
G, I tell you what, man, Jeremiyah Love has been sensational the whole season. We didn't know how he was going to respond coming to that game with that bad knee. He had the knee brace on. We were watching him in pregame to see his movements and his cuts and his bursts. But he's a guy who's had extra time to rest, to heal, and to get that knee right. And the determination he showed right there against Penn State, man, running through about 6 of their defenders to get in the end zone. I mean, that was like the signature play, not only of the playoff for them, but pretty much their season, because they're just like a blue-collar, gritty, resilient team. So I do believe that he will be the most talented running back that Ohio State's defense has seen, especially in the postseason, if not all season long. I was in South Bend when the young men in a bitter, freezing cold ran 98 yards against Indiana for a touchdown. So he is clearly a guy who can take over the game Monday night.
Some good running backs are certainly going to be on display on both sides of this field. That being said, Des, finish this sentence. An Ohio State loss would be what?
Catastrophic. I mean, when you look at the reason we're here, I mean, to put it in context, don't forget, a year ago, Michigan won the national championship. And right after that game, Ryan Day, an athletic director, they had like an emergency meeting. They had just lost to Michigan 3 years in a row, and they hadn't even been to a Big Ten championship. So the AD said, what do we need to do? At that point, they dug into the portal. They spent the most money on high-end talent in the portal during the offseason. That's why the whole offseason was about Ohio State loading up. They stacked the deck. They got the #1 safety in the portal, Caleb Downs from Alabama, the #1 running back in the portal, Quinshawn Judkins from Ole Miss. And the big fish, though, is they went to UCLA and got Chip Kelly. He quit his job as the head coach to become the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, and he's been in his bag this whole postseason. And they did that for 3 reasons. Number 1, to beat Michigan again, which obviously they didn't do. Number 2, to win a Big Ten championship game. They didn't play in a Big Ten championship game. But number 3, to get to the national championship. And they're here, they're in the Natty. And so Monday night, we can see if everything that they put into the offseason was worth it.
That's such a good point, Des, because you can get away with those aforementioned two, losing again to that team up north and not winning a Big Ten championship game. You can do away with that if you win the national championship Monday night, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Desmond Howard joining the program this morning on SportsCenter. Des, thanks.
Joey Galloway back with us from Atlanta, the side of the college football playoff national championship game. The Irish offense, Joey, how does it combat one of the best defenses in the country in what the Buckeyes do on that side of the football?
Notre Dame wants to run the football, and that's what got them here. And I can't imagine them going away from that now. They have a stable of running backs, very talented, with Price and Love. And then you add Riley Leonard into that. And at the end of the game, to close out the Penn State game, they just kept running Riley Leonard right up the middle because their offensive line is outstanding when they're healthy. A couple guys got banged up, so we'll get to see Monday night if those guys are playing. But the run game of Notre Dame is why they're here. I'd imagine they're going to stick with that. And it's a power game. They like to pull guys, and their offensive line is talented. They're athletic, and they do a nice job of getting down the field, picking off linebackers as these running backs make their plays. And Jeremiyah Love, when he's healthy, he's really good. And we've seen him with a banged-up knee the past couple games. Still a really good running back and fought his way into the end zone, running over like 8 Penn State defenders to get there.
On the other side, it's quarterback Will Howard for the Buckeyes. Has a QBR of at least 90 in all 3 playoff games. When you watch this young man spin it, what stands out to you about how he's raised his game here on some of the biggest stages of the season?
It looks to me like he's playing way more relaxed than he did. I think everyone goes back to the Michigan game, that loss, where the offense didn't look great. They didn't go down the field a whole lot. And then since they've been in the playoffs, he just looks like he's playing relaxed football. He's trusting his receivers, has maybe one of the best receiver groups in the country. A lot of people have been talking about Jeremiah Smith, the freshman. They got Egbuka. So they're really deep at the receiver position. I think Will Howard's just leaned on those guys and said, look, I'm going to throw it down there and let these guys go make a play. And it's worked out very well for him.
I mean, listen, the QBR during the regular season was never, it was never in doubt. He's second best in the country in average QBR, only 2 games under 70 all season long. Joey Galloway, appreciate the insight from Atlanta.